How are you?
Well, good. What's up? This is true story. These two ladies at a network meeting came over to me, and he said, your show was really good, but we missed Dimples. Good evening, everybody. I just got the finger from Jim. It's all part of the story.
Right.
Hey, everybody. It's Darren from the Business Power Hour. I'm not going to be in the studio tonight. I'm traveling.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Business Power Hour with Darren and the Music Man, except Darren's not here.
I'm here.
No,
I'm
you're
right
not
here.
Does anybody see that? Darren is not here. Darren is away.
I am right here, right
Be quiet
next
for
to
a
you.
second. You're not here. What? I don't know if you got lucky.
Not the
Really interesting question.
That's a fantastic question, Norman.
Wow. See, I got fantastic.
This
You
is
just
the
got good. I got fantastic.
show's about him, so let's focus on that.
Were you drinking before the show?
Oh Jesus! Oh Jesus!
There we go. We got it.
It's good.
No, it's
Now we got fun.
There you go. Okay.
smother it.
So, I think he has a music thing.
It's making noise.
It's making music.
Is it?
Yeah. That's so sweet. That's so sweet of you, Darren.
By the way, this is a Yankee station.
It's a
Thank
Yankee
you.
station, John.
Thank you.
It's a Yankee station.
All right.
Unfortunately,
We got bugs in here. What's going on?
I don't know.
Do you spray? Get
You
an
know what?
exterminator?
It's that time of year where you're getting bugs and stuff. As long as we don't have bees, I'm good.
Yeah, all right. That's
But
We have a lot of undulations out in the field. Undulations.
Is that a wine?
it's, no, you,
What the hell is undulation?
Fred, don't use big words. Hey, right? So this.
Help.
I gotta give him a cough button, Jim. What do you think?
Cough
Because-
button would be a good idea. Consider that a good question that he asked?
Great question.
There you go. I got
Pythons
one.
and brains.
You're double D?
I'm double D. Show's about him, so let's focus on that.
Hey, give me some loving.
How are you, Music Man?
Hello, Darren. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm
this week.
absolutely convinced. I'm absolutely convinced that
telling
you
you.
got some kind of brain damage when you had that thing last year.
I'm telling you, and he called. And
Not classy, but classy.
Seeing interviews by Darren and the Music Man. Ladies and gentlemen, Darren Siafe and Norman Wasserman.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do it again. Welcome to the Business Power Hour with Darren and the Music Man. We're back in this. I'm back in the studio.
You're way too excited.
I mean,
Everybody, he started the
this
whole
is great
intro
stuff.
before we even got to this point.
Because
so.
you usually yell when it's on when I'm home.
No, I told you when the video is done, right? When the intro is done, then we go live. When you see this screen, look in front of
Bite
us.
me. Anyway, we're here. We're back in the studio. It's 1 year since Darren and I have been in the studio
Yes.
together. 1 year.
It's actually almost one full year.
Yeah, it was February.
The end of
The
February.
end of
yeah.
February. We
End of
stopped
February. So,
doing
yeah,
it.
just about 1 year. And we are excited I'm excited to be back, although I've been in this studio before. It's a nice studio, right?
It's really nice. It's nice. You did a really nice job on
Well,
this.
thank you.
You're good.
Thank
We're gonna have tours on here. Down here one day. We're gonna.
Well, we had to put
raffles.
security out front to make sure, the
We
fans
have to
aren't
have it
coming
out
in.
now. We have about a dozen people trying to get in here.
Yes.
We let them in, but they don't have face masks.
Well, they heard you were going to be back.
That's exactly it.
They heard you were going to be back.
That's
so.
it. So it's happy to be. How was your week?
My week is very busy. PPP is keeping me very busy.
You were what?
The payroll protection plan is second round.
I didn't hear the other pay. I thought it was
and
just
it's funny
PP.
because I got a lot of my clients are like, well, I also have to put in for my forgiveness. Almost every bank is saying, no, we're not taking any more forgiveness applications at this
What's
time.
the difference?
Well, they got to get the first round forgiven.
Oh, they didn't get that. Got it.
Some people haven't done it, and I recommended that they don't do it because I knew it was going to change again.
Right.
I had a couple of my clients that were like, no, we're gonna put in for the forgiveness, and they didn't get everything forgiven because that's the way it was originally written. The EIDL advance was not supposed to be forgiven; it wasn't, and now we got to go back and revamp it. So it now.
So what
gets
do you mean you revamp it? What do you do to revamp it?
You got to go back to the bank and say, hey, you got to forgive the rest of it. So
how do you know they forgived any of it yet? If you just dealt with the bank, how do you know?
How do I know?
Yeah, not you.
Well, the
I mean,
bank put it to the SBA. The SBA forgave it, all but that one portion, which is the way it was written. And now they changed the law with the last signing they made. And they say everything should be forgiven.
No, you just
so now
said,
we got to go back and reapply.
You just said a key word.
What?
Law.
Law, yeah. Law.
Because our guest.
Yeah.
How do you like this segue? I mean, it just happens. We're that good.
We're that good.
We are. We're that good that this just happens like this.
Listen, this is all scripted out. I don't care what we're not going
to. Here's our script.
There you go.
See, it's a friend entertainment. Ron will say, what's his name? Oh, yeah, Ron Rolleri. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Ron Rolleri from the Ron Rolleri Law Practice in Melville, Long Island. Welcome.
Wow, we lost our background.
Thank you, guys. I am honored to be here in your return show.
I don't blame you, but that's really good.
You're our
it's
first
nice.
in-studio guest since
when
the pandemic. Since the pandemic started, and welcome. And you're the first in studio. Well, no, wait.
Oh, you had one last week.
That's not true. We had Chris.
Chris
was in studio.
But I wasn't here.
You weren't here. You're the first in studio guest with Norm back in the studio, right here at CBMS Studios.
This is quite the honor. Thank you guys for having me.
No, it's our pleasure
to
have such a good-looking legal brain sitting in our offices in our studio. It's really great.
Now, Norm, you're a married man, and I know your wife. So
exactly, she's watching. As a matter of fact,
is she? Hi, Renee.
She is. Hi, honey. Oh, by the way, great news for those of you that didn't know. My wife has been in the hospital for 2 weeks, and she's coming home tomorrow. COVID gone, pneumonia gone. She coming home.
And now you won't be lonely.
No, I won't be lonely.
I got lonely. Renee, every time I talk to him, I'm lonely. I'm lonely. That's all he would say.
He spoke to me twice.
But I did speak to you.
Yeah, you did. You did. You were very concerned, and as you were when I was in the hospital and such. And that's really good. So tell me, my friend, you are here, and you are an attorney. And how long have you been an attorney? And what type of attorney are you?
So I have been an attorney for, and I hate to say this because it scares me every time I say it, but about 25 years.
25 years.
And I started my own practice about a little over a year ago. I'll get into that in a few minutes. But my practice focuses mainly on employment law. I do a lot of employment law stuff, which includes things like sexual harassment claims, discrimination, employee relations issues.
So that's how you met him.
Of things. Exactly.
Oh, actually, we met at a network group, and we had some stuff to talk about. That's what we did.
Some stuff to talk about.
I meet everybody in a network group, right?
Well, you do. You do meet everybody in the network group. You're very good that way. I'm sorry, Ron. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So in addition to the employment law, I also do a lot of what I call general business type of law, which are a lot of contract type of work, contract disputes, negotiation, drafting, business formation. You want to form a business, you're not sure how to do it. Really anything that would impact a business from a legal standpoint, I'm there to help with.
And all those things you've done for me?
You are.
As a matter of fact. You're handling a case for my wife on a discrimination suit.
Yes, you guys are great clients.
Maybe.
Well, Renee is, right?
Renee's very good. She doesn't bother you like I do. She just lets it happen.
He can be a pain in the ass at times. I know.
I have compulsive disorders.
So Ron, why an attorney? Why did you become an attorney?
I when I was in college, I was a finance major, and I was thinking about, what am I going to do for the rest of my life, like a lot of college students. And I took a class in my senior year. No, I'm sorry. I think it was junior year of college in business law. And I loved the class. I loved it. I loved the professor. The professor was a full-time attorney who was doing this class on the side. So he would tell us about day-to-day practice, things that he encountered and went through. And I just found the whole thing fascinating. I loved the class. And I decided at that point, this is what I'm going to do. So I decided to go to law school, and that's what I did.
So when you went to law school, I asked this question of all the attorneys that come in here. What made you slant your focus to business and employment law?
It just kind of happened that way. When I came out of law school, the job market was really, really tight. It was hard. I managed to get a job working at a Wall Street firm, an investment house that was based on Wall Street. And that's how I got into the business environment. While I was there, what happened was I was in-house counsel to this.
So you were
firm.
doing an SEC type work.
I was doing a lot of SEC, FINRA type of work, regulatory compliance, that kind of thing. And while I was there, a lot of these employment type issues started coming up, and there wasn't another attorney in the group. There wasn't any attorney in the group that really knew how to handle.
You mean like a brokerage firm had employee issues?
It's shocking. I know that it's shocking, but yes. So case came up, and the general counsel, my boss at the time, said, "Hey, Ron, could you handle this?" I said, "Sure." I didn't know much about it at the time, but I said,
Well, if you said no, you wouldn't have to worry about it. You would have been out the door. So.
I said, well, so I said, great, I'll take it. And then the next one that came along, they gave me that one. And before you know it, it was taking up a lot of my time. So that's it.
Right.
So I just kind of
fell
into place. And I did the same thing for over 20 years.
Well, finance and law work together.
Yeah.
And if you were a real estate attorney, you would need the finance background.
Yeah.
If you were going into taxation, you would need the legal background.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I majored in finance in college, because everyone said, no matter what you do, that's going to be a good, that's going to be a good background. And it did. It kind of jived well with what I wound up doing going forward.
Any business, and this is one of the things I always talk about and I always preach. We had this conversation before the show, that any business consultant, if they don't have a good financial foundation, it's really not a good consultant from a holistic business point of view.
Right.
Look, you got great coaches that do marketing, and if they focus on that one area, they're great. But they can't come in and help you revamp the whole company if they don't have an understanding of the numbers.
Absolutely.
Everything runs with the numbers.
Absolutely. Right? And that kind of ties into, one of the benefits that I had working in-house. My career path was a little bit different than a lot of other attorneys. A lot of attorneys start out working at a law firm, and then eventually they move in-house. I started in-house, and the bulk of my career has been spent in-house. And the benefit to that is I got to see the business side of things as well. So when you're dealing with a client who's a business, they don't want you to focus only on the legal stuff, right? They want you to understand what their business is and what it is they're trying to achieve.
Right.
They don't want an attorney sitting there telling them, you can't do this, you can't do that, don't do this. They want someone to say, okay, I know what you want to do. I know what your goal is. Let's figure out the best way to get there.
Right. And that's very important. Either coming from a legal standpoint, and you and I had this discussion, even as an accountant, I can't help a business grow if I really don't know where they want to go.
Right.
I got to know what their destination is.
They got to know where they want to go too. And that's part of what your job happens to be.
Right.
And it's part of your job too, is to lead some of these clients. They may want to go this way and they got to go to the right. And you have to protect them from going to do that.
Yeah. And the way to do that is you establish trust, right? Because a lot of times the business goals and the legal objectives are not exactly in sync with each other.
Right.
And in order to be able to get the business people to listen to what you're saying, they've got to trust you, right?
Yeah.
And if they feel like you really understand what it is they're trying to achieve, then they have that trust. And
I think it's a two-step process with that. I think you have to get their trust, but they also have to believe that you're doing what's in the best interest of them.
Right.
Right. And they know you got their back.
Right.
That's what I find is that the best clients I have are the ones that know I'm there when they need me to be there.
Exactly.
I got their back.
Exactly.
I'm not going to let them do stupid things.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Are most of your clients that you wind up getting referrals, or are they first-time meets, or how does it work for you?
A lot of it is referrals. Some of it comes from networking. I go out and meet people. I talk to them about what I do. Sometimes I'll get a phone call 1 or 2 months later and say, hey, remember we met at this event? Well, I have a problem. and next thing you know, that person becomes a client. It's always great when clients refer new clients.
Yes.
Right?
Well,
Because,
we pray for that.
Well, those are the best clients to get.
Yeah.
Because they're already coming in hot. If you have the trust with that one client, the new client coming in, the trust you don't have to build.
That's
right.
It's
You
there.
know, it's pretty much there.
Right.
You still have to build it a little bit, but
right.
for the most part, it's a lot easier for the transition coming in than somebody cold, like somebody you just meet at a networking
Absolutely.
thing.
Absolutely.
Except for Norman, because if you meet him at a networking thing, it doesn't matter. You're gonna do well, right? So
That's how I met Norman.
yep.
That's how I met Norman.
Well, I want to do a quick shout out to Arlene Wasserman. All right, any relation?
Yes, my ex-wife.
Is it really? Wow. Hi, Arlene. Nice
She's still
to meet
talking
you.
to me after all
I
these
see
years.
this. But, she says, Norman, your show is very enlightening.
Yeah,
So,
see?
I don't know
What
if
does
that's
she
good or
know?
bad.
That's why we're not here.
I'm surprised that your current wife is still talking to you. much
Well,
less your
yeah.
ex-wife.
Well, she's not talking to me tonight for some reason. So.
But, Arlene, it's very nice to meet you, Arlene. So it's really, see, she said hi back.
She's
we're
very
all
friendly.
good. We're all good. We're all
Yeah.
good. Everything's kumbaya, and we're working good here.
There you go.
So,
As long as I make my payments every month, everything is fine.
oh wow. So we digress every now and then.
That's okay.
But I wanted to give Arlene a quick shout out. I saw the last name and I said, okay,
It must be a relative or something.
Can you see that screen all right?
Yeah, I'm looking
Okay,
right at
good.
it.
Okay,
I just didn't know if I should go out there and say something or not. So, they see a real go-getter.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, he is a real go-getter.
Always called me a real go-getter.
Yeah.
And that's why
And
we're not
you owe
together,
me.
because I went out and I got some.
Let's not let's not make the show about Arlene.
You owe me, see? She's giving me advertising.
Yeah,
she knows. See, well, there you go. Make those payments.
So Ron, what made you decide now to go out on your own? It's like you're in the corporate world for 20 plus years, and you decide one day, you know what, I'm gonna hang up my own shingle, and I'm gonna try to do this on my own.
So it was the corporate world that made me decide that. I like I said, I worked there for well over 20 years, and it was a great.
Were you in one company for 20 years?
No. The first company I was at for 12 years.
Oh, long time.
And then a couple more after that, but it was a great experience.
Was it any special industry that you, like after the 12 years, that was one industry, or there were multiple, but then you went to another company? Was it the same?
For the most part, it was all financial services.
There you go. Right.
I had a brief stint as the chief operating officer at a sports and entertainment memorabilia auction house. That's a story for another day. Right. But that was a brief little stint.
He's also a musician
in between.
He does everything.
We'll get into that.
But for the most part,
so you got to give me how much that's worth over there. That's an official ABA jersey from the Strong Island Sound, which existed from 2005 to 2008.
What's his company?
That was mine. I own that team.
These guys, not to go off on a tangent, but these guys, it was amazing to me. They would know. Someone were bringing a baseball bat, and they would say, "Hey, this bat was used by Babe Ruth." They would be able to tell by looking at it if it was what they call a game-used bat. It was a bat used in an actual game. I don't know how they did it, but somehow they're able to tell just by looking at the thing that, hey, this is a game-used bat, which ups the value, of course. It really was an interesting business, but for the most part, I was in financial services for most of my time in that world.
But that was the corporate side, though, of financial services, not actually the everyday operation legally of financial services.
Well, I was in the legal group.
Right, you did
right.
So he did compliance. He made sure all the brokers and everybody else were doing.
You worked for the general
everything.
counsel.
So
yes.
You, by chance, you weren't with Stratton Oakmont, are you?
I was not.
So when you decided to go on your own, did you have a couple of clients that you could count on before you went in that said, if you leave, I'm going to be with you? We'll do a retainer deal, or, whatever it was?
Well, that was one of the big challenges, because most attorneys that go out and open their own practice have a bunch of clients that will follow them over.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because I worked in-house for most of my career, I didn't have that. So for me, it was pretty much starting from scratch. My clients were my employer. Of course. Now, I do have clients who are former colleagues of mine that I worked with at these firms.
Okay.
I have a number of them who are now also my clients. But again, it was different because I didn't have these client relationships beforehand like you would at a law firm. And then when you go somewhere else or you open up your own, they kind of come with you. So for me, it was just kind of starting from scratch, which was a little challenging. And of course, the timing wasn't optimal because it was right before COVID.
Right.
So the timing wasn't perfect, but it's
well,
fine.
I mean, COVID created a whole new set of challenges for employers.
Yeah.
That now with all the new sick day laws and all
That's
the
right.
other things that came into play.
That's right.
We were talking about that. I was talking about that at one of my clients today, where they're saying, "Well, if I want to take a sick day as a vacation day, why can't I?" And I'm like, "Because it's a sick day." And you know what? I'm sitting on the side from a CFO type thing. I'm like, "You're going to bring me a doctor's note if you take a sick day." And they were like, "Well, no, I don't have to do that." "Oh, yeah, you do. The law says you have to. I can require you to do that if you take a sick day, if you want to get paid for it."
Right.
So, I mean.
You certainly got to do it now.
You got to do it now. So, but yeah, I mean, that COVID created a ton of new challenges.
It did.
Because how do you police your people when they're not in the office? Right. So that's part of it.
It's a whole new world now because everybody's working from home.
Mm-hmm.
That will probably be the case.
You want to talk trust factor? There's the trust factor. Working at home and supposedly giving your corporation the amount of hours that they're paying you for.
Well, the corporations like it because they realize how much money they can save not having to pay rent and all of that other stuff.
Well, that's if they have given up their office. You can still have a couple of people in your office and a majority of them working from home.
Right. And that's what's going to be happening going forward. There's going to be a lot of downsizing of these offices. Mm-hmm. And the bulk of maybe not the bulk, but a fair amount of people are just going to be working from home, I think, going forward. For me personally, it doesn't work for me. I don't like working from home. I know I'm in the minority with that. Mm-hmm. I much prefer getting up and going into the office. I can't work at home. It's too distracting. There's too many things going on. But most people I talk to, they love it. They think they're more productive, and maybe they are.
Well, we did a flip. My partner and I lived together, and what we did was years ago we converted the basement into an office, similar to what David did, and we were working out of that. But empty nesters now, so we're going to be selling the house. So we said, okay, let's get an office, and that's how we ended up here.
Yeah.
When it comes time to move, are you going to call me? I got
a direct line to your boss.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to find out the And so just checking. By the way, we got a shout out from Chris Gannon. It says, nice to see both of you guys back in the studio again. Nice. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Chris is a great guy. As a matter of fact, does fantastic job with marketing and putting our commercials together and things like that. All the graphics that you see, Chris does for us. So
together and individually. Does for Friend Entertainment, does for the Business Power Hour, does for CBMS.
And my cousin Liz even says that she works better in her office than she does at home. Hey, Liz, how are you? I love you.
Hi, Liz.
So it's and that's the big, I wouldn't say conundrum that's going on with a lot of companies, is because we're in the process of hiring some people. So it's like, okay, do we let them? We don't know them.
Yeah.
Do I let them just work remote, or do I make them come in till I can trust that they're going to do their jobs when they're working remote?
Right.
Because let's face it, when you work from home and you get that, I'm going to take 5 minutes and I'm going to go do something. I'm going to throw the laundry in. I'm going to do this,
exactly.
and you get a lot of stuff done, right? Which is great. But at the same time,
you got to get the job
I found
done.
I worked more hours when our office was in the house than I do, because when I leave here, and I purposely do this now, when I leave here, I'm done.
Right. Right.
You know, whereas when I was working from home, I was like, oh, you know, I'm sitting around, I'm bored. Let me go downstairs and do, you know, and do a couple other things.
Yeah.
So, you know, but like you, you know, I now prefer the office. I really do.
Oh, I do too.
I think it's fantastic.
And on most days, I will put on a suit like this, even if I'm not meeting anyone, because it just puts me in
Makes
that
you feel
mindset.
good. Makes you feel right. You
It puts
frame
me
of
in the
mind.
mindset that, okay, now it's work time. It's not playtime.
Yeah.
It's work time. I can't, you know, you hear these people saying, oh, I haven't gotten out of my sweatpants for the past 5 days. And then I just can't do that. I can't do that.
Yeah, and you know, and I'll do that too, where I'll wear a button-down shirt, right? So I'll put a button-down shirt on because I know, okay, that gets me in that mode.
Yeah,
it's putting yourself in the right mindset,
right?
And what puts you in the mindset is putting a suit on.
Yeah.
Right. What puts me in the mindset is I just put a button-down shirt on. It's just a little more. So I'll wear jeans or I'll wear just, you know, khaki slacks or something like that for the most part. But if I'm coming into the office, I can't come into the office in a t-shirt. I just can't do it.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, it just doesn't work for me.
And with me, I just put me in front of a computer screen and give me a telephone. That's all I need.
Well, that's all he needs.
And that's great. There's nothing wrong with that.
But I do miss the interaction and the feely touchy about going to a live network meeting or meeting people or going to the diner and being able to feel people and, you know, have them feel me and feel them back to see if we're good matches for each other.
Absolutely.
Because
I mean, I'm sick of Zoom. You know, again,
exactly.
People might love it. People might think it's the greatest thing. And it definitely is great in times like this.
It's helped.
Right.
But
not going forward.
You can't get the same personal interaction that you can when we're like this.
Yeah.
Right? You can't get that through Zoom because there are times where you don't know what's going on and, you know, somebody mutes and there could be somebody else talking in their ear. And because that happens with me. People will come to my office. I'm on a Zoom call. I'll just put it on mute and listen, but still look at the camera, you know, or you saw my setup in my office. I'll have work on the screen in front of me and I'm working as I'm doing a Zoom call and they have no idea.
And they don't realize that it really is, you know, a business meeting, right? So they'll pull out a sandwich. And, you know, it's like,
There's this one guy. And
to me, you should treat it as if you are in a meeting.
In the office.
You know,
right?
And, you know, you'll see the guy turn around, he pulls out a sandwich, he starts a bag of chips. You know.
The wipe in their face, and whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And this one particular person that I'm thinking of is he eats, he drinks, he gets out of his seat about in an hour Zoom meeting 6 or 7 times.
Yeah.
Sit down. It's a meeting. If you did this in an office, you'd be looking for a new place of employment.
It's rude.
Yeah.
It's rude.
Absolutely.
You know, it's definitely rude. So we're going to take a quick break, Ron. And when we come back, I'm going to ask you some advice. There's a particular sports team that seems to have a history of hiring people that maybe they should not have hired. And we know who that is, right, John? So
Is John on? Where is he?
I know he's watching. He's not talking right now.
We'll make him talk.
And
in a
Liz,
couple
we're
of minutes.
going to address your concerns too, but we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back right after these messages.
See you soon. Hey everybody, it's Norman from Friend Entertainment USA and Virtual Tribute Concerts. I got some breaking news. If I sound a little bit excited, it's because I am. And you can see I'm wearing one of my nice glitter jackets for on stage. And the reason why I'm wearing this jacket is because the Cure, the Friend Entertainment fundraising Cure, it's official, it's live, it's well. We lived through it. We got it going. Concerts all over the country, concerts all over the world. Virtual concerts from Friend Entertainment USA and Virtual Tribute Concerts. We are there.
One of the greatest groups to ever come out of the Motown family.
And ladies and gentlemen, it's Dr. K's Motown Review.
Small business owners, are you having trouble growing your business? Do you feel like you're always swimming upstream? Do you feel like daily tension that I can't get ahead and I don't know why? Hi everybody, my name is Darren Sayafi and I'm a business therapist. What's a business therapist? Well, some people call us coaches, some people call us advisors, other people even call us strategists. We take a vested interest in you and your personal development as a person and as a business owner to give you the tools and structure that you need to take it to that next level. So don't wait. Give me a call today for your free consultation and let me show you how you can help yourself.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Business Power Hour. Well, you messed it up last time, so I'm jumping in.
You jump it. Yeah, jump this.
We're here with attorney Ron Rolleri, and we're talking about...
Oh, look, my wife's on.
Hey, Renee.
Hey, babe.
Hi, Renee.
How are you?
Nice to see you.
Good to see you. So happy that you're coming home tomorrow.
A lot of words, right?
Yeah,
hi.
A lot of, well, that's enough.
Hi, honey. Why don't you say hi, honey?
So before the break...
Ron, your friend Ron's here. Yeah.
So before the break, we started talking about situation, right? So the New York Mets hired a general manager, and it turns out that he was sending dirty text messages and harassing text messages to women. And how do they not know these things, number one? And number two is, well, I can understand them not knowing because nobody reported it and all that stuff. But what do you do? How do you protect yourself from stuff like that when you're hiring somebody?
Well, training. I mean, training is really, this is the kind of thing that's never going to go away, right? I mean, sexual harassment is one of those things that will always be. Why? Because people are stupid. They make stupid decisions.
Choices.
They make stupid judgment. And no matter how much publicity have we had over the past couple of years with the whole Me Too movement and Harvey Weinstein and all this other stuff? But the reality is, it's never going to get fully through. And you know, I see it all the time. The best thing you can do as an employer, and you know, in New York, it's actually much easier now for someone to bring a sexual harassment claim against an employer. It's very difficult for employers now. In the past, you were able to defend yourself by saying...
He says, she says?
No. If you had a policy in place, which basically said, okay, if this happens, you complain to us, we will deal with it, right? So if you're able to show that, hey, look, they never told me that this was going on. We had no knowledge of it.
That went away, right?
That went away.
With that law that came into effect was a year ago, October, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so
that's right. So whether or not you knew about it, it doesn't matter. You know, the employer is still on the hook.
Well, speaking of that, Ron, a lot of small business owners have no idea about this law, right? So my understanding is, it doesn't matter how big your company is. You have to provide within 30 or 60 days of hiring someone, you have to give them the New York State mandated sexual harassment training.
Yes.
Right.
You have to give sexual harassment training to all of your employees at least once a year, and to every new employee that comes on board within a reasonable time after they join. It's not a prescribed 30 or 60 or 90 days, within a reasonable time. So anytime someone comes on board, they have to get the training, and everyone has to get it at least once a year. This is one of the things I was going to bring up at some point tonight, because this requirement is still in effect, notwithstanding everything that's happened with COVID and people working from home. And a lot of people are thinking, oh, they're not really requiring that anymore. It's not true. It's still a requirement, and you have to provide this training at least once a year.
Now that brings up something, and I just got a quick funny story. One of my clients asked me, can you walk through the training with everybody. And I said, okay, yeah, I got all the slides off the thing. And this is a company that's been around a long time. All the employees have been there forever. They're all older now, right? There's I think the youngest guy is 45, and then it's 10 years before the next person. I go to do the training, and the guy says, "Why are we doing this? None of us have sex anymore." I was like, so I thought that was the best line ever.
The thing I hear all the time is, "Oh, we don't need this. We're like a family here."
Yeah. Oh,
we're
that's
like
the worst.
Family. No one gets offended.
Right.
We don't care. We all joke around.
Yeah.
We're like
Until.
friends. Until someone gets pissed off or something happens to change that dynamic, whether it be a bad performance review or whatever it might be, all of a sudden that changes and it's not one big happy, family anymore.
Well, let me interrupt you just 1 second because I don't want you to get pissed off. How do people reach you? What's your number? Because we forgot to do it at break.
Oh, we forgot to do it at break.
So what is your phone number?
I thought this was a professional operation.
You thought wrong. That happens sometimes. You make mistakes sometimes. And this was one that you made. So I'm trying to make good. I'm trying to make good on it. So how does somebody reach you?
Anyone can feel free to reach me by email at ron@rollerylaw.com. That's
How do you spell that? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
That's ROLLERILAW.com. Or feel free to call me at 516-382-0082.
Repeat that number again.
I'm sorry?
All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ron.
Repeat
Say
the number
that
again.
The number again.
Yes.
516-382-0082.
All right, excellent. Okay, Ron. So let me ask you this question. I want your opinion on this. All right. A company hires somebody. They work for them for a couple of years. While they're working for them, they do some sexting, right? That's inappropriate and things like that. They move on to another job in another state. They are now called on it, right? For the things that you were doing for the employer at that time. Is that employer now, can they be held responsible?
How much time are we talking about now?
I'm specifically talking about the situation that just came up today about Mickey Callaway, who used to be the manager of the Mets.
Right.
Why he was the manager of the Mets, he was sexting these women, and now they filed discrimination cases against him. Can the Mets be included in that? Because it happened while he was the Mets manager.
If this,
but he's at another team now.
He's with the San Diego Padres now.
And these women that he was texting were colleagues. They were employees.
I don't know. I don't know that the situation. We don't have all of the information. I think some of them were reporters. That seems to be the thing that's coming out now. Is all these female reporters have been sexually harassed or sexually advanced upon by these athletes and managers and stuff like that. And if you remember when Brett Favre was a Jet, wasn't he accused of sending a picture of his privates to somebody too?
Yeah.
That was that worked for the Jets?
Yeah, I mean, generally the employer is not responsible for whatever someone does on their personal time, provided that it doesn't affect
the work atmosphere.
Other people within. So if this person is texting women outside of the Mets organization or outside of the employer, and they're just people that he knows on the outside, it would be difficult for those people to hold the Mets responsible for that.
But if they're a reporter and they're in the locker room and they're on the premises,
that's a different
a different story.
That is a different story.
But
and in that case, they can be.
Okay, so and I'm throwing scenarios out at you. And again, you don't have all the answers. I get it because there's so many different scenarios. But okay, I'm a female reporter. I go in the locker room, but you only sext me when we're not at the stadium. like I'm home and you're home and things like that. Does that still?
It still falls
because it affects the work environment.
That's right,
Yeah.
and that person has a valid claim to bring against the Mets and say, hey, look, this guy's harassing me.
I bet you'd like that case, huh?
Yeah, I'll take it.
I'll be going. Let me see what I can do. I'll make a couple of calls tomorrow.
Norm's going to make.
I'll
a few
call the
calls for you,
Yankees.
Ronnie.
I'll call the Yankees and ask them if they'd like some PR. With all of this.
Some PR, can you help us with that?
Look, like Darren said, I worked for many years on Wall Street, so I've seen it
and heard it all.
Yes.
I've seen it all.
And I'm sorry, he's with the Angels. He's not with the Padres. Sorry, John. He was still with the Mets when he did it. How's that, brother?
Now you're doing some other, and I'm going to bring this up because before we blink, this hour is going to be over.
Yeah.
So we're going to start talking about this stuff now. There are some other things that you do as a lawyer, and not necessarily because you're a lawyer, but they tie in really, really well. That I think you should tell everybody about, especially with the financial background that you have.
Sure. What exactly are you talking about?
Yeah, really.
The PPP. As we said in the beginning of the night.
What is wrong with you?
The PPP. That's what we're talking about.
Renee, are you sure you want to come home?
Yeah, she misses me. He called you a dope.
I'm a dope?
He called you a dope.
I think he called you a dope.
No, he said dope. He's talking to you.
She is feeling better.
I'm sorry?
She is feeling. Is she called him a dope?
No. It's one of his relatives that we have this tete-a-tete with him every week.
He's a Met fan, and it's
huge.
It's just destroying the family and everything else. So.
Terribly. So anyway, you made a phone call to me to explain to me that you have something new. You didn't have all the information about this particular segment of grants that are coming out, and we'll get why.
Yes.
But you're also doing the PPP plan.
Yes. So for anyone who hasn't heard already, there is a second round of Paycheck Protection Program loans that are available now. So if you did not get a PPP loan last year, or even if you did get one, but you need another one, you are eligible now to apply. The application process is open right now. So anyone who is interested in looking into this, now is the time to do it. The deadline is March 31st, or when the funds run out, which will very possibly be before March 31st. So if anybody's interested in looking into a PPP loan, a large part of which will likely be forgiven, this is a great thing to look into. Now is the time to do it.
And they can call you and get all that
Absolutely.
information.
If anybody has any questions about that, feel free to give me a call.
And they can reach you at 516-382-0082.
That is right. That is it. The other thing that you mentioned, Norm, is something that is near and dear to both of
us.
Right. It's called, and this has gotten a lot less publicity, it's called the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant. And
before you explain,
yes,
this is for people that are in the entertainment business, not necessarily for entertainers, but has to do with entertainers, and you can explain to everybody why.
All right, just quickly, my cousin Liz is leaving us. Liz, love you. Right, thanks for
Bye,
watching.
Liz.
Thanks, Liz.
All right, so
thanks, Liz.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so look, we all know that live entertainment has been decimated over the past year. So at the end of last year, the president signed into law a bunch of a package to help with all of this, and this grant is part of that, and it's designed to help people who are in the live entertainment industry as well as movie theaters.
Movie theaters too.
Yes, yeah, and some museums as well. And again, it's called the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant. And what this does is, if you are an eligible business, and it's geared mainly towards venues, the venues that host these events, the individuals who represent the talent, the people who own the movie theaters. As you said, it's not geared towards the entertainers themselves. It's the other people that are kind of running the show. But if you are eligible for this kind of grant, you could get up to 45% of your gross revenue for 2019 as a grant given to you, which means that it's not a loan that has to be paid back.
Right.
It's a grant. Now, this has not been open yet for applications. We're waiting. They told us a few weeks ago that it was going to be any day now, and it still hasn't opened up yet. So I'm watching it every single day to see when applications are going to start being accepted. But again, if there's anybody that is in this business and would like some more information on this, let me know, because there are some pretty stringent eligibility requirements. For example, if you're a venue operator, if you own a venue, there's certain square footage requirements. There's requirements in terms of how you get most of your revenue and those kinds of things. So if anybody's interested in it, now's the time to look into it and get ready for when, this
is also good, even though it's not for musicians. This is also good for musicians in a way which will enable me to get a grant, and then I pay the musicians to perform.
Well, that's the big purpose of all of these programs.
To generate the entertainment world again.
It generate the entertainment, but generate, viable, paid positions where people go back to work. They want everybody back to work.
It gives them an opportunity to go back to work.
Right.
There's so many of the venues that I dealt with are just gone. I mean, a grant wouldn't even do them any good. They've lost their leases.
It's funny. You know what I find, because I have this situation with a client right now. The PPP, as far as landlords go, it's great for if you have property that you rent out. Okay. But if you have a commercial piece of property, there is no help.
Yeah.
The PPP law does not help out the commercial property owner. And what I mean by that is, okay, I got a building like this that we're in. It's all offices and stuff like that. If my tenants can't pay me, guess what? I'm out of luck. Right. So I got to figure out how to do this. And I have that with a client right now where he's got tenants that can't pay him. He doesn't want to kick the tenants out because they've been good tenants for years, but their businesses are struggling. Yeah. So it's like, how is he, and he can't pay the tax, he's having trouble with the taxes and everything else. And it's like, what do I do? Is this PPP going to help me? And I'm like, not unless we put an apartment in one of these and you go, hey, my tenant can't pay me. So
PPP I mean, look at Adventureland, right? Adventureland, a Long Island institution. They're kind of floating in the abyss, right? Yeah. Because they don't know when they're going to be able to open again. They spent all of this money on getting their property compliant with all of the COVID regulations, thinking that they would be able, to open at some point, and that point hasn't happened yet. So there's a lot of these businesses that are kind of falling, by the wayside.
It's a good thing they own the property.
They're not benefiting from these different programs that are out there.
That's a great point, Norm, is that there are a lot of people out there that
don't own the
property. They don't have the assets and they don't have the resources. And that's one of the things that I, work with my clients on. I got a company that they've literally lost 67% of their revenue during COVID, but we've been able to survive because we planned properly and, we put all of the right things in place where it's not easy. Don't get me wrong. It's a struggle, but they're surviving.
Yeah.
And they, we're getting through it.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely. But that's the importance of working with someone like you, Ron, is making sure you have everything in place. You have all your contingencies, because that's a big thing I run into all the time. These small business owners, I always give them the what ifs. What if? What if this happens? What if that happens? And they go, I don't know.
Right.
That's why you work with you, because you put in place all of those things that will save them when it comes to the what ifs.
Right.
I think it's just perfect for someone like yourself, who is a finance major and an attorney, to be handling the PPPs. It's great to go to a bank. They're bankers, whatever it may be. They have a finance degree. That's wonderful. But you also have the legal aspect of what's going on and planning for the future. And then if you do this, you can have that. If you don't do this, you may have a problem going forward. So at least getting advice from you, is really huge. And they should give you a call at 516-382-0082. Not bad, huh?
Oh, that's pretty good. That's because the screens are
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No, I appreciate that, Norm. And it's absolutely right. Especially now, what do they focus on? They focus on surviving.
Yeah.
We all are.
They're not thinking.
Well, here's the thing. They're going through these applications, and if you read some of the things that you're attesting to on the application, you sit there and go, you know what? You can get yourself in a lot of trouble.
And who reads them? You signed the damn paper, you put it in, like you know what you're reading, but an attorney knows what they're reading. Someone who's familiar with knows that's what you get paid for, is to understand what these agreements are all about and what you're signing away.
Because we purposely make them unintelligible.
That's it.
So,
yeah, but that makes sense.
Well, that's what I always say too. Like us accountants, right? We talk in what I call accountantese, and to confuse our clients or make our clients feel like we're smarter than we really are. Exactly. So that's basically what we do.
Exactly.
So we can charge the higher fees, and he knows words I don't know, so he must be smart.
And I don't want to read it. I just want to get a check.
Yeah.
I'll pay somebody else to read it for me. Because I'm not going to understand it anyway. I could read it from now until doomsday. It's not, like you said, it's not made for me to read it and to understand it.
Yeah.
It's like when you get these credit card applications, and then, forget magnifying glass or anything else. You can't see this.
Yeah.
And there should be a law, seriously, about the fact that when you sign these things, they have to be legible. You got to be able to really read them, and they're not.
They're legible. You just need a magnifying glass.
Well, okay. I'm not signing anything with you.
You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to. Well, if you got 20/15 vision, you can read it no problem. Right?
Well, you know what gets me? I had a big debate over a family member who's also an attorney over this. When you get these like software updates, and you have to click the I agree, and there's like 500 pages of stuff before. No one looks at that.
No
one looks at that.
You know what's funny? What makes me laugh too is when they make you scroll through it in order to check I agree.
Right.
It's like, okay, like I really read that in like 2 seconds.
Yeah. Well, how about your lease? Your lease on an apartment or on an office. It's like 20 pages. It's front and back, fine print. You reading this?
Yes, but it's a different thing, because when you're talking about something like, your iPhone software update, with a lease, at least hey, this is a legal document. I should look at this because
I should have my attorney look at it also.
When you get the notification, you have to update your software. Okay, you hit the button, and you're agreeing to. You don't even know what the heck it.
Yeah,
and then you got to charge for $500, and you didn't realize that you even did it.
Yeah,
because that was also in there.
I have a big problem with those things, and I get into debates with people all the time about whether or not they should be enforceable. They are for the most part, but to me, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. So
what else do you want to talk about? Because we are getting to the hour.
Yeah, we only got a couple of minutes left.
Is that right?
So, yeah,
I'm telling you, time flies when you're having fun. A couple of things. Actually, we touched on a lot of the things I wanted to mention in terms of developments and things I should be aware of. So we talked about the PPP. We talked about the grant. We talked about the harassment training. That's something I mentioned. And I guess the other thing I will mention, Darren, you mentioned it earlier today, is we're into February now. And if you're an employer and you have an employee handbook, hopefully you do. You should have an employee handbook if you're an employer. Now's the time to make sure that it's updated if it hasn't already been updated.
And that goes back to what I was talking about before. The employment laws in New York, especially, have changed so much in the last year, especially with COVID, as well as federal laws, that everybody really should be going through their employee handbook now.
Yes,
like you said.
Yeah.
So I know.
Do you write yours, or do you have somebody do it for you?
I actually have another attorney that works on that stuff for me. So
all right, well, I got to go now.
I'm sorry, Ron.
No,
it's just previous relation.
Of course,
but
of course.
so
The thing that you mentioned earlier was the new sick leave provisions.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people I talk to aren't even aware of this.
They're not.
Right? So there are two. There's the COVID sick leave,
right,
which applies only in COVID type situations if you've been quarantined. But then there's the new New York State sick leave law, which applies to every employer in New York State, regardless of how many employees you have, even if it's only one. And what this says is you are required to provide sick leave to all of your employees. How much they get depends on how much they work in terms of hours.
I think generally, I'll say generally, the law says for every 30 hours they work, they get 1 hour of sick time.
That's correct.
Up to 80 hours, right?
40
hours,
up to
right?
40 hours, unless you are a firm with over 100 employees, and then it's 56 hours.
But isn't there a different rule for COVID?
And they can carry it over. And
it's not use it or lose it type of thing.
Right.
But isn't there a different rule for COVID?
Yes.
Yes.
So what is the rule for COVID?
So for COVID, if you are quarantined by order of government, right? So not just a doctor's note or anything like that, but if you are quarantined by the Suffolk County Department of Health, you are entitled to up to 5 sick days, which might be paid depending on the size of your business and the income of your business. So regardless, you're entitled to 5 sick days, and they may or may not have to be paid depending on the size of your business.
What happens if you have COVID and you're in the hospital?
Then you would
again. It applies basically.
So it's only 5 days that you would be entitled to.
Yeah.
That's kind of sucky, especially since people can be in a hospital a couple of months.
Yeah.
So we got a Facebook user who says, and it says Facebook user. So I was told by my business law professor, if you don't understand the legal document, don't sign it.
Makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. I don't.
But that means you'll never sign anything.
Well, but see, that's why you bring somebody like you in.
Yeah.
Right? Because you take it and you translate it and
into
you
English.
say, this is what it really means for you. And then I go, okay, yeah, I can sign that. But that's what you do.
Yeah.
Same thing when people come to me and start asking me questions about taxes and tax benefits and, what's going on with the tax laws, which right now, and for everybody, I just want to let you guys know, the IRS said we're not going to accept any returns until at least February 12th, and that may change. So don't be, usually you can get your returns in already. The IRS isn't accepting anything until February 12th. So just to let you know. So everybody calm down.
You're getting a lot of response. A lot of people are asking questions, which is a good thing.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, you're getting a great response. So
that's great.
And it's actually 2 minutes before the hour. So Ron, we really want to thank you for being here tonight. Great job.
Thank you guys for having me.
Nice job.
Anyone in the audience who has questions, Norm gave out my contact information. Feel free to.
What was that contact information?
We put it into the Facebook chat, so it's there. Reach out. One person did ask, if I'm in a different state, who do I contact? So, shoot Ron an email, and he may be able to help you.
Yeah.
He may also have reciprocity in other states. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, Ron, we want to thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. And, again, guys, reach out. If you got any small business owners, especially, now is the time. Get your employee handbooks. I don't care if you have one employee. You need a
handbook.
You have to have it. All right? To protect yourselves. This is what people don't get. It's not for the employee. It's for you.
That's exactly right.
It's for you.
That's exactly right.
So reach out today, and Ron can help you do that. So thanks, Ron, for being on.
Thank you,
guys.
Yeah,
you did a great job. It was really good. I'm glad you.
Thank you so much.
It's great.
Thank you very much.
Good stuff.
Wow, man. What a great show, huh?
Not terrible.
Not terrible.
Not terrible. That was
what
really
does not terrible mean?
That means it was good. What is the opposite of not terrible?
Yeah.
Not exactly what I was wanting.
You're not here. You're left already.
I shut his mic off. So
oh, God. They can't hear you anyway. In case anybody wants to know,
How did they think you did? Well, they said I didn't do terrible.
You didn't do terrible. You did very, very well. He did terrible.
So it was good. It was good having you back in the studio.
It was nice to be here, babe.
Yeah. Okay.
We do fist bumps.
But nobody can see that because we got the overlay on there. Right?
Back when we used to do a studio, if people say, "Boy, that was a great question,"
Right.
and if we get that was a super question,
Right.
yeah. So that's it. So that was part of
we
our
were
thing.
trying to do it over Zoom. It just wasn't working.
No, next week is Jim Ryan.
Jim Ryan's coming back.
He's
huh?
coming back
I
again.
like
Jim Ryan will be back.
So
I have to reach out to him tomorrow just to confirm.
is he coming
everything.
in studio? Or is he going? Because we're giving our guests the option of coming in studio.
Yeah, we'll find out tomorrow. I'll find out tomorrow
Right,
if he's
excellent.
coming in or not.
So
This is so much better just being here.
yeah. So we want to
Their interaction.
thank our guest Ron next week, 7:00 right here from CBMS Studios, the Business Power Hour with Darren and the Music Man. We want to thank everybody for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys next week. Good night,
Bye, everybody. Have a good weekend.